Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Sisters of Legacy. That is us. We are going to run our intro and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. Thank you, Lisa, for riding with us and sharing and joining us. We appreciate it. So, I am Samantha Walker, uh, and I have with me the wonderful Shanetta
Hey.
and the awesome Katrina.
Good evening.
All right, guys. So as I said, we are the Sisters of Legacy, and we are here, in honor of, or not in honor of, but in lieu of this being, I think, like Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, I've been thinking about all the things that can contribute to um, various issues, or can contribute to depression, or thoughts of worthlessness and all those things. And I thought about um, apologies and forgiveness. And I know we may have touched on these topics, intertwined with other things, but I kind of really wanted to think about it, and mainly probably because of some of the things that I've been dealing with lately. So I realized that a lot of times I'm not really the type of person that blames other people. Unfortunately, I typically blame myself when something goes wrong, or when something doesn't go the way that it should. I take oftentimes more responsibility than I probably should. And when I thought about that, sometimes that can uh, put more pressure on me than is probably healthy. Of course, over the years, because I'm over 40, I've figured out ways to navigate all the stress and the pressure that I put on myself. But I just have been thinking about that a lot lately. I know recently you've seen where, women, the last couple of women that have killed themselves. Um, there was a young girl on Facebook, she took her life. And on the outside, it seemed like, I know, like the two popular women, one was like Miss America or something like that. I'm not
Mm.
exactly sure. But on the outside, you would think, wow, she's beautiful. She's being recognized for her beauty. She's in lights, and you think, she has everything going for her. But she killed herself. And then there was Ashley Judd's mom recently killed herself. Yeah,
Hadn't read the articles on what happened. Did not know that.
she killed herself. First, they announced that she had passed, and
Mm.
then like some days later, Ashley Judd spoke out and said that her mom shot herself and killed herself.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I've talked to several people as of late, that have loved ones that deal with depression, or like that debilitating, those debilitating feelings of, where they just can't maneuver. Like, I just can't be me today. I just need a break from being me. Um, and so I was thinking about all those things, and sometimes uh, I feel, and this is my personal feeling, I feel like a lot of times um, those feelings come from either a line of where there's been a lot of unforgiveness, or where you felt you were owed an apology, like something terrible happened, things were done to you, and you've never been able to like kind of get closure of it. You've never been able to make peace with it, because this was done, and you never got an apology. You never got acknowledgement of how you were hurt or how it affected you, and those things can lead down a deep, deep hole. So I figured it would be something great for us to talk about. Like I said, I've had those moments sometimes where I go down the hole of blame, and I've had to forgive myself. Like I've had to apologize to myself, and I know that probably sounds weird, but just kind of look, it's okay that it didn't go the way you wanted it to. It's okay that it wasn't perfect. It's okay that you missed this. I've had to say those things to myself. So I just think about the people that don't have the wherewithal to say that to themselves. Don't have that to acknowledge that it's okay, um, to not be perfect. So, like I said, I just thought it's a great conversation for us to talk about. So, Shanetta, you got something.
Just in listening to how you started off, and just thinking about like the apology sometimes that we're looking for from others when we have situations that kind of hurt or damage or harm us. One thing that I've learned, I think, through the years is that you may never get the apologies that you're looking for.
Right.
You may never get a person to get to the place to admit what they've done to you was wrong, or how they treated you was wrong, or they mishandled your love or your affection, or they mishandled you as a person. Many times people will uphold themselves in their wrong, um, at all costs. And what I've learned is that as a person that has gone through things, you can't be responsible for what someone else does or doesn't do. You can't be responsible for another person, like making them understand enough to where they realize that they, owe you an apology or any of that. You can only be responsible for how you respond and how you behave and how you act. It's important to always make sure, for me, one of the things that I hold true when I have a disagreement or a problem or an issue with someone, I look at myself and I look at like, what role am I playing in this, and what do I need to do to correct. So if I offended Sam, my after when I begin to evaluate and review and think about myself, I'm gonna go, if I feel like maybe she hurt my feelings and then I hurt her feelings back, or I hurt her feelings and then she hurt mine back, like it was kind of like a two-way thing. It doesn't matter if she apologizes to me or not. I need to apologize to her.
Right.
And when I apologize to her, I can't expect that she'll be like, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate that, and I'm also sorry for what I did." Because she might be like, "Girl, yeah, you owe me that apology," and whatever. And then I'm sitting, if I'm expecting her to apologize, now I'm hurt again because she didn't apologize. So then it creates this cycle of things that just goes on and on. Um, we have to, I think, begin to learn that people are who they are. When they show you who they are, you need to believe them. Yep, you got to believe them. And you have to make sure you're responsible for how you respond to things. I mean, if I feel like I owe an apology, I have to be woman enough to say, you know what, I was wrong. I did not do that right. Or our perspectives are different. And I didn't even realize that this, because sometimes it's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's just, we just see it differently and we disagree because of that. And maybe I owe you an apology because of how I approached it or because of what I did. But I think apologizing is a strength that we have to learn to operate in, because nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. And then forgiveness is a gift to yourself. It's not really a gift to another person, because when we're mad or when we're unforgiving to someone else, we're harboring that inside of us. They're going on about their business, they're going on about their life, they're not worried about us, they're not thinking about us, they, dosey doing with somebody else, they out here living their life, and we still out here mad. So we have to learn that forgiveness is not Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is what you do for yourself so that you can move on. And I mean, things are going to hurt you, things are going to shake you and bother you. But we have to learn that when we're wrong, we need to apologize. And when someone has harmed us, we need to learn how to be more forgiving.
So I have a question. So does anyone ever really owe you an apology? Like, do I owe that to you? Or what qualifies as somebody owing you an apology? Because I think sometimes we get stuck on that too. Like, what makes me owe you an apology? Because I did something you didn't like, or because I did something you didn't think was right? Like, what makes me owe you an apology?
I think for me, the words owe you an apology is just the way we say things.
Okay.
Not necessarily true to the meaning of the actual words, but it's just how we say it. How well, we say, okay, you hurt your sister's feelings, you owe her an apology. I think it's just the way we word it. But not necessarily like truly a debt that we have to, like basically pay out. Like you need to give this apology. Um, I think that for me, I don't really. I would the only person I would say to that they owe me an apology. Y'all already know
Poor,
is Mike. I'm like, you owe me an apology, and I'm not talking to you. To you apologize.
poor Mike.
but but anybody else, I really wouldn't tell them that they owe me an apology. If they offended me in some kind of way, um, I'm usually going to get to the point where I'm going to be like, you know, if you're going to keep offending me, or if you have offended me and you don't have anything and you don't have any remorse for that offending me, I probably don't, you don't owe me anything. I learned a lesson. I learned
Right.
that this is how you are, and I probably shouldn't put myself in this environment with you so that you can be this way with me. I let you, and that's where self blame comes in, because it's like, for me, I'm like, you got me that time. I let you do that to me. I'm not gonna let you do that to me again. And if I continue to let you treat me this way, it's not that you owe me an apology. I owe myself an apology, because I'm fooling myself by thinking that you're going to be different. So I need to make a different decision. It's kind of like when you hear somebody talk about how bad something is, how bad their relationship is. It's like, but you are still in it. You have to make a decision. You can't expect that person to change.
Right.
You got to make a decision for you. And for me, it's like, you don't owe me an apology. I owe myself something different.
Right.
So for literally the only person that I use, that I may have used it like with my kids, like when they were little, to teach them to apologize. Like, you hurt my feelings, you owe me an apology. But it was kind of like teaching them how to
Right.
apologize and how to, fess up when you've done something wrong. But the only person that I'll use it with and like really be like, you owe me an apology, is literally Mike. And like you said,
Poor
poor
Mike.
Mike, because he catch it from me sometimes, but he loves me, so he gets to deal with this. But I will, for him, when I'm mad at him, I be like, you owe me an apology. And he be like, what I owe you an apology for? And then, it goes somewhere left, because then he got to make a joke out of everything and he think everything funny. So see, there he go now.
Poor Mike. All right,
Well,
so Trina.
I was gonna say what you were saying, Shanetta, about the. I've only really used that with children, to say, like, to teach them how to apologize, to teach them when I've done something to hurt someone else, or if with the kids I have now, they constantly hit each other, and I always say, okay, you got to say sorry. You got to say sorry, and it's really just to teach them, because after that, then they should now tell themselves, okay, I did something bad, or I did something wrong, and I need to apologize. And it should come from within. So saying to somebody, you owe me an apology, I don't know, not a grown person, I don't think.
I
You know
mean,
what I
but
mean?
I
But
mean,
like,
go ahead.
I, I'll even say, like, the 3-year-old, one day he was just whole tantrum, act crazy. He calmed himself down. And then, like, half hour later, he said, Miss Gina, I'm sorry. And I was just like tears because I'm just like, wow, like I didn't have to tell him to say sorry because he was just acting crazy. But I feel like it's when you start to self reflect,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And I think that's where it comes from. You start to self reflect, well, wow, this is what I did, this is how I acted. Um, then you should already know you owe somebody an apology. I don't think I would say to somebody besides like my children, maybe. But even then, like I feel like you know how you was acting. Like so, you need to apologize if you know how you treated somebody or you offended them. Um, but if I feel also though that if that person, you may have to say, such and such, you offended me by A, B, and C.
Right.
But in that moment, you may or may not get an apology. Um, and you may not expect, you have to tell yourself, I may not expect one in this situation, but I'm gonna let you know how I feel and that you offended me by
Yeah.
doing A, B, and C. If the relationship is important enough to you, I'll say that.
Right. Okay, so Anthony says, so do you not say anything? I guess he's saying, like, if somebody did something to you, do you
Hmm.
just not say anything? Or do you find another way to say that, hey, you should apologize?
I think
Or,
it's I think it's like what Trina was just saying. Is that you, if the relationship is an important relationship, you would say, "Hey, I didn't like that." But not necessarily demanding of an apology, but more so like kind of making it known, because I may not be aware that you didn't like that. I may not be aware that that was something that bothered you or hurt your feelings or made you feel some type of way.
right,
So I'm responsible for telling you how what happened between us made me feel.
right,
Um, and then you're responsible for you, and I'm responsible for me based on how we acted or reacted in the situation. So if the three of us are having a conversation and you and Trina say something that offends me, bothers me, or makes me mad, I need to find the words to be able to say, hey, what y'all just did, I didn't like that. Like, I walked in the room and y'all looked at each other and started giggling, and that made me feel some type of way. And I felt like y'all were talking about me when I walked in the room. So y'all made me feel some kind of way, and I don't really like that. And I don't really, rock with people who treat me like that. I need to make sure that I'm communicating that to you, because if I don't, how will you know that that bothered me? And then if you're truly a good friend of mine, I think that you would come back and be like, we wasn't even laughing at you, but I'm sorry that you felt that way. Or, girl, we were laughing at you, them shoes is ugly, don't wear them shoes again with that outfit. Like, we love you, boo, we was just laughing at your bad choice of shoes, sorry we hurt your feelings, whatever the case may be.
right,
But I think that it depends on the circle of people that you're in the situation with, to determine how you address it. Because if it's somebody that I don't care nothing about, maybe I won't say anything.
right. So Mike said, when you have made it known that you feel some kind of way and they don't respond accordingly, you know who you're dealing with.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, so if the goal is so is the goal to get an apology, or is the goal to let you know how I feel?
I think it's to let the person know.
Yeah.
Because maybe they don't know, or maybe they didn't think that what they did was a problem, or maybe maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe they thought they were saying this and you took it like this, and then that's y'all need to get an understanding. So if you say, that hurt my feelings, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't mean that. I was thinking this, and then I didn't even mean, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings. So then you got an understanding um about it. Or I mean, again, if the relationship is important to you, and if it's important to the other person, 9 times out of 10 you are going to get an apology. If they meant it, didn't mean it, misunderstanding, whatever. But like, but like Elder McNair mentioned, now you know if they're just like, well, that's on you, black. Then you're like, oh, okay. I get it. I know where I stand now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, like, I don't even really care about the apology part of it. Like, even with Anthony, like, if I'm mad about something, once I tell you why I'm mad or tell you how I feel, I'm good. Like, God has blessed me to be able to. I know I was waiting for him to say that. Hey, you see that? I knew when you called him elder, I was like, really? Oh, God
We
has
never met
blessed
in
me.
person. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't.
You can call him Mike.
Oh, when something happens, I'm the type. I'm just gonna tell you, like how I feel about it or what I think about it, and then I'm good. Like, even at home, I'll be mad. Like, once I tell him why I'm mad or how I'm feeling, I can lay down and go right to sleep. Now he up because he bothered by whatever I said, but I'm good. Like, I don't know. I think just growing up as a kid, when stuff goes wrong and you don't. I grew up. I didn't really get apologies. Like, I remember one time. I don't know if my mom will see this. I don't care. I'm 45. Oh, Trina. I know you probably remember. It was a long, long time ago. We were doing something with Lisa. It was in class, and my mom slapped me at the church. Do you remember? We was teenagers, whatever. She slapped me in front of everybody. Like, everybody was there. It was one of those youth nights. I don't know. She slapped me. It was like the end of church because Neil Numb was acting crazy and giving Lisa a hard time that night. So all my mom heard was that, there was something going on with the kids, giving Miss Lisa a hard time. After service, she smacked me so hard. I mean, I didn't even see it coming. Like, and it wasn't me. So she was 100% wrong. After she slapped me, I didn't even get on the church bus to go home. I walked home in the rain. Like, that's
Now
how
that sounds familiar. Something about you
right.
walking home.
It was so terrible. But I didn't get an apology. Even when she figured out she was wrong. She was like, "Oh, they told me it wasn't you."
Girl, that was your apology.
No, that wasn't that, and I was like, no, we need to go in front of everybody so you can say sorry the same way you slapped me in front of everybody. Like, that's my thinking at like 16. I was about 16 at the time. But that experience like made me realize like people not gonna apologize when they're wrong. They're just gonna be wrong. Like, like it I got over it because for a minute I was mad at her. Like, how can you not apologize? Like, never mind the fact you hit me. Like, you done hit me before. I mean, you're my mama. I done got in a lot of trouble. But when you wrong, like, up until that point, I felt like when people are wrong, they're supposed to apologize. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what you taught growing up.
Mm-hmm.
When you do something wrong, when you do something mean, you apologize. And listen, my mama smacked that notion right out of my head, literally. And I don't know. Like, since then, like, I don't think that way anymore. I do agree with you though, Chanel. Like, yeah, I'm the type of person. Like, if I say, "Oh, I didn't like this," and you're like, "Oh, okay," I'm like, "Okay." Like, but the next time we talk, it's gonna be a very short conversation. And
Right.
it's not that I'm mad at you. Like, I'm not mad. You're fine. We're good. Praise the Lord. I want you to be highly favored. It's just, I want you to be highly favored over
Over there.
Somewhere
there.
else.
Because I get to decide, you know what I'm saying, what's right for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes that's the part that people miss when you're waiting for an apology. Like, you have to decide what's right for you. And it's like, if I let your hurt continue to hurt me, it's kind of like you just waking up letting somebody smack you every day.
Yeah.
Like, the longer I would have been trying to hold on to the fact that my mama slapped me on a Friday night, here I am next Thursday, and I'm still, it's like I've been letting you slap me all week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm looking for something from you to make me feel better.
Right.
And I think like that is a dangerous place and position for people to put themselves in. You know,
Right.
it's kind of like a rabbit hole. Like you taking all your emotions and your thoughts, and you've gone down this rabbit hole. And before you know it, it's kind of like you've gone too far and stayed too long,
Right.
because now now you feeling, you know how Shanetta, you connect the dots. We went from I stepped on your toe to now you've decided I did it because all these
Absolutely.
things, and
Yep.
those feelings just compile. And I think sometimes people get so far under their emotions that they don't know how to get out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, and it's kind of a sense of allowing someone or something else to control you.
Right.
And we definitely have to kind of be mindful of that, because when you allow things from without to control how you feel and how you respond and how you're able to move and operate, because it becomes so heavy and it's weighing you down so much that you can't do anything but think about that thing. You can't function right. You can't do your job the right way. You can't do anything and get back to a sense of normalcy, because you're waiting for this outward thing
Right.
to self correct. um I think that's one of the things that, like, I mean, we have to learn. And I even tell the kids in my classes that um that wasn't okay. Like, I had one little boy tell me, I was like, you don't think you should apologize for what you did? And he was like, I don't apologize. And I said, oh, okay. And so I'm looking at the other kid and I'm like, you heard this, right? This is who you call your friend. You
Right.
heard this. I need you to make better decisions on, who you are going to be around, because listen to your friend. Your friend does not apologize. That means that anything your friend did, they meant it.
Right.
So if he's mistreating you, he meant it. So for me, after a certain age, I don't think anybody should have to tell you that, you owe, like, tell you you owe me an apology. So I'm not gonna come to you and be like, Sam, Trina, you owe me an apology because you hurt my feelings. No, man, I just told you how I felt. You owe me an apology. So either you're going to or you're not, but I'm not gonna let it control how I'm moving and how I'm operating.
I
Or
think it's
I forgive you.
I think it's one thing to take accountability for whatever role you play in a situation. Um, but I think you have to be careful not to internalize what the other person's actions mean,
Right.
because they treat you a certain way, because they acted whatever. Now that doesn't say, well, I'm not worthy or of whatever, or I'm not this or I'm not that because they treated me this way. So we have to be careful not to internalize and say I'm not good enough or I'm not this or that because this person didn't think you were worthy of an apology or worthy of the respect that they didn't give you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I was talking to Sam a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying how this certain person didn't treat me a certain way, and it made me feel like, well, am I not good enough? Am I not, this fabulous woman that that deserves? Um, and it took me a while to get back to, yeah, I'm fabulous, and just because you didn't, see me as that, as such, or treat me as such, that doesn't mean that I'm not.
Right.
And so it's important that even when people treat you certain ways, not to internalize that and make it like, okay, well, I'm not worthy of being treated with the respect that you didn't give me.
Right.
Right. So, have either of you ever had to accept an apology you've never gotten? So, meaning like something has happened, when somebody's done something to you, they've never apologized, and you
Yes.
just had to, you know.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
just
how do you navigate that?
Um, I think it's a matter of knowing where to place people in your life. I've had and it goes back to who the person is and how important the relationship is to you. Um, for me, I've had situations with close up personal people
Yeah.
where it's like I can't just chunk off the relationship and throw it away because it's family or it's, whoever. And you just kind of learn, okay, I see, I get it. I understand how you behave. I understand the type of person you are. And because I understand you, your personality, and how you operate, I know what my boundaries are. I know what my limitations are. And I love you. I can be around you. I forgive, you for the situation, even if I don't say verbally to you, oh, I forgive you for that situation, because that may spark a whole nother situation because you
Right.
don't feel like,
Right.
because it could
I ain't
definitely
did nothing
be
to you.
right. Exactly. Um, so you may not necessarily verbalize, oh, I forgive you for that. But in your heart, you've forgiven them for that and you move on. And you know the signs of what's coming. So when you recognize those signs, you can say, okay, I see something is coming. There are some people that are in my life. I can tell you to the T when something is about to go down between us. And I go ahead and start putting up, my shield, my barriers,
Right.
the whole armor of God, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
I see it coming and I'm like, okay, yep, I see where this is going. And I'm not going to set myself up to be hurt. So it might hurt a little bit, it might sting a little bit because I see where this is about to go, but I'm prepared for it. And then there are those moments where they catch you off guard and you're just like, oh, I didn't even see that one coming.
Right.
And here we are. And now my feelings are but you kind of have to learn how to navigate those situations for yourself. And then I've had situations where there are other people that I'm like, oh, okay, I ain't gotta deal with you no more. I'm okay. We good. I see you when I see you, when I see you in the street. Hey, but other than that, I'm good. I'm not going to dinner with you. No. You don't pay the bill. You walk out and then I'm stuck paying your bill. I don't know.
Oh no.
So I mean,
So Ephraim said, "Have you paid a personal penalty or carry a burden for not receiving forgiveness in a situation? Not receiving
not
forgiveness?
receiving forgiveness when someone doesn't forgive you for something you've done.
Is you gotta elaborate? Is that what you're saying? Like somebody hasn't forgiven you for something that you've done? Um,
Because if that's the case, I would say absolutely not. You do not. If you, that's on you. If you don't forgive me,
he said,
when
"When I see you in the street, remember you don't know."
I seen somebody post, if I blocked you on Facebook, I blocked you in real life. Don't
Oh
speak to
yeah.
me.
I think okay, so is it really forgiveness though? Like, because sometimes I wonder, and I really wonder because I do this a lot. So I'm trying, like, is it really forgiveness if because of what happened, now I just don't deal with you. So did you really forgive them, or is your not dealing with them unforgiveness?
I feel like it's really what's in your heart. It's really what's in your heart. Because
I know that part.
I've definitely forgiven people, but also not put myself back in a position to be hurt again by, okay, well then I'm just gonna step back and from over here I'll deal with you. But I'm also not mad. I'm not, not holding nothing. I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm not, oh, they coming. None of that. I'm good. But I'm not gonna go and put my hand back in the flame and say, okay, hurt me again. You know what I'm saying? Smack me again. Like, I'm just gonna, okay, my heart is good. I'm not mad. I'm not feeling any towards you. But also, I'm not gonna be keying in your face either. So,
Listen, when you said that, and I'm good. I said, oh, okay. That
like I'm good in my heart. Like I'm not mad. You know that feeling. And it's not, All right.
I think when you know better, you do better.
Okay.
And people teach you lessons in
Yes.
how they behave towards you. So if someone has hurt you and you are saying in your heart, okay, I forgive them for the hurt, but I've moved on, I'm beyond that, and I'm not going to deal with you anymore because I see how you move, I see how you operate. And maybe you change the way you move later, and I have to observe that once I see that, okay, you changed a little bit, maybe you're doing things differently, and I need to see you in action before I even trust you again. You don't have to trust everybody.
Right.
I think trust is something that's earned, and you don't always have to open yourself up to people, even church people, because let's be real, that's where this, a whole lot of times people like, oh, you in the church, you're supposed to forgive and forget and move on. No, I can forgive you, but I did not forget that you are crazy and that you tried to run me over with your car. And I know that when you're in the parking lot in your car, I'm not coming outside because you might try to run me over again. I don't know. So I don't trust you. Whatever the case may be, I'm not going to continue to put myself in front of you for you to keep hurting me, for you to keep doing things to me because I see the way you move. Um, and even when you do forgive and choose to continue dealing with the person, and then you start to see the signs of how they moved previously, you need to, oh, okay, wait a minute. I know what that looks like. I see where this is going. You have to be smart. And I think you have to be attentive to the care of yourself. And when you see somebody is doing the same stuff, you can't keep letting them do that to you.
Ephraim's, oh, well, Mike said yes. When you're trying to get revenge, then there's no real forgiveness.
Right.
But if you're still trying to get them back, if you're trying to get your get back,
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely you ain't forgot them. If you got that, oh yeah, you gonna need me, and when you do, like, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
probably haven't forgiven them. He said, yeah, I agree. If you see somebody and have a huge physical or emotional reaction, you're probably not over what happened. I don't know. I'll say this, like, I don't know if it's not that you're not over it. Like, sometimes, I don't know, like, I'll say sometimes I can see somebody and I'm uncomfortable. And it's not that I'm really holding something against them. It's kind of like, I realize what type of person you are.
Hmm.
And I've kind of, made necessary adjustments. But when you're around, I'm just uneasy. Because I don't never know. You never know what they're gonna say. Like them people that always you say something crazy at all the crazy times. So like, being around you is kind of hard because I never know what you're gonna say, and I never know how what you're gonna say might hit me in this moment. Like, so I have those kind of things that happen now, but it's not like holding it against people. But when they around, it's kind of like you bracing yourself.
Yeah.
Ephraim said people in church hurt other people because they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
They know if they try that on the street, they probably get slapped, but they take advantage of the goodness of saints. I don't think that's the case. That they just, I think honestly, people are who they are. Sometimes people are just inconsiderate. They're inconsiderate at home. They're inconsiderate in their families. So they're inconsiderate in church. And
And
it, a
sometimes
lot of
people just take advantage of the good old saints.
No, sometimes it's just those people. You ever meet those people that they're like, oh, that's just how Robert is. They be like, girl, that's just
Yeah.
how Robert is. Robert been that way for 36 years. You have those people and they come to church. And he's been allowed to be just how he is, with all his friends. His family know that's how he is. And then
Right.
he come to church. He's the same person. And because nobody, I feel like sometimes people have not said to him, you are an inconsiderate individual.
Right.
That he just is accustomed to the way he behaves. I don't think he just come to church like, oh, you gotta forgive me, inconsiderate Robert, because we at church. I think that's just who people are. until he run into spookier. I don't know.
Me either. Don't know that one.
You gotta have to. You
I can't
definitely.
interpret that one
Yeah, you def.
here
Porkier. Okay, you just made that worse. Oh,
until he ran into Marquita.
he gonna have to. Yeah, he made that worse with that.
Pookie. I knew he was trying to get to Pookie.
Ah,
I think I did know that part. I was like, till he run into Pookie them. Yeah.
you know the bad part is all three of us is sitting here trying to look, waiting to figure out what he's gonna say next. I mean,
Mm-mm.
yeah, that's always the possibility. You know, you take a couple of L's, and sometimes that will adjust, behavior. But I
Yeah.
don't think people, I mean, some of those good old the goodness of the saints. A lot of times it's the saints that are terrible. How
Now
about
I would
that?
say to what Ephraim said about having a huge emotional or physical reaction.
Hmm.
Um, initially, yes, I was like, yeah, that part. And then I heard what you were saying, and I was like, well, um, but definitely, I think sometimes when you have a situation with somebody that made you angry, they made you upset in your heart, you thought you forgave, said,
Hmm.
okay, I forgive them, I'm moving on, and then you see them again and you get mad all over again. I
Oh
do
yeah.
think that causes like that's kind of that emotional reaction
Right.
where it's just kind of like, why am I mad again? That happened a year ago. That
Right.
happened,
Right.
like, why am I still mad about that? And then there are other times where, yeah, you do kind of have that moment where it is an uneasiness. I think there is a difference between where there's just like, I don't trust you and
Right.
I don't really know how this is going to go,
Right.
Hmm.
that we're together again, we're in the same space again, we're in, in the shared environment again, versus I'm just mad. I want to fight all over again, and I want, like, whatever the case may have been, like I want to go
You want
toe
a
to toe
rematch?
because I'm still mad, or I'm even madder now than what I was when it first happened. um and I think a lot of times it does depend on what happened, because sometimes there are some things that do spark heavy emotional reaction based on what happened. If you look at, different people who have had a loved one murdered,
Right.
and they go to court,
Right.
and they see the person again for the first time in a long time in court, that's going to cause a huge, emotional reaction. Even if in
That's
your
true.
heart you've forgiven, there's still going to be some kind of reaction emotionally, because you're hearing things, you're seeing things, and you're reliving a
Right.
terrible situation. So that doesn't necessarily mean you've not forgiven, but it means that this was a part of your heart that was really broken. So sometimes you do have that until you're getting to the place where you're able to stand and say, and I can't even imagine that type of struggle.
Right.
And then there are other times where you just want to fight. And, like, I mean, I had a situation where a person who was a friend of mine betrayed me in a work situation. And we were friends before we worked together. And they literally betrayed me in a work situation. They were wrong. And all of the evidence pointed towards them being wrong, but they decided to make up lies about me and cause my job to be compromised in that time. And that was so, like, it was so hurtful because I confided in that person as a friend.
Right.
And so once I was just kind of like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna sever this friendship, gonna sever this relationship, move on. I've forgiven. There were times in, the process of me getting over it, where when I saw the person, I was just kind of like, I think I want to punch you in the face. And I was saved and in the church, and I was just kind of like, I think I want to punch you in the face. But it took me some time to the point where I was like, I had to check me. I
Right.
had to check my emotions. I had to check how I was feeling, because I knew I had no business seeing this person and really thinking, I'm gonna I'm gonna walk over there and just punch her in the face and then I'll be okay. Like, I had no business thinking like that. I wanted to. Um I know some people in my family probably was like, I'll do it for you. Um but I had to kind of like check myself and get myself to the place where I could see the person and be like, I'm cool, I'm straight, we good. How you doing? You good? You straight? All right. See you later. Bye. And be okay with it. And it took a while to get there.
Right.
And I never got an apology. And I'm okay with that. I'm just like, I know who you are. I know how you are. I know how to deal with you. And when I do choose to deal with you, it won't ever be the same.
Okay. So how do I was watching, the little clips or whatever on Instagram. So apparently Jamal Bryant said something about somebody, and I don't know. He had to get up and give some apology, and of course, he had to make it grand and elongated and whatever. But one of the things he said was an apology does not come with excuses. Like he said that, and it made me think. You know how I'm sure you've heard in your lifetime somebody be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but that day I was having a bad day." So, like, you ever had that? Like,
Mhm.
and it kind of made me think of that when he said it. When he said, "Apology does not come with excuses," and I realized like it sounded really good, and that's great that he said it. But I feel like we just have to figure out how to be okay either way. Like if because it's like I don't want to nitpick somebody's apology. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I don't want to be hanging on every word to decide whether or not it was appropriate or whether or not I should forgive it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's important to get to a space where whether or not you ever say it, give it motion to it, I can I can still live my life. I can still be who I am. So, 2 days ago, yesterday, maybe a day or two ago, I had an incident at work. I was in my office, minding my business, doing my job. So, a guy from another department, he coming in hot into my office. Now, I don't even know this man. I've seen him, in passing before. I had no idea what his name even was. He came in my office, and then whatever, before I knew it, he was gone. And that's like early in the morning. I don't even think I'd been at work for an hour. And I was like, mm, that was a lot. So, like I went to talk to, so I went to my boss and, kind of just explain what happened or whatever. And so that they could handle it, whatever. They did whatever they did to the guy. So today they're like, did he come and apologize? And I was like, no, but it's not necessary. I was like, it's not necessary
Mhm.
because I don't want to get dependent on his apology on to determine the kind of mood I'm in when I see him.
Right.
So now y'all are trying to don't hang his apology on my back. Like if you told him to give it and he didn't give it, that's fine. That's his problem. Like, but I was thinking like I don't want to hang that around my neck. I don't want to go down because then every time I see him in the hallway, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
who want to work that way? Like, I go to work. I happen to like my job. I really like it. Great atmosphere, but if I get stuck on the fact that he didn't apologize or whatever, every time I see him, I'll be like, you
Right.
know, and I'm like, I can't. I'm not even gonna go down that road. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna allow something else to, alter the way that I think. And I
Yeah.
realize for some people, and not even, and then for me as well, like it's not always as easy to do as it sounds. Like I'm
Mhm.
not gonna sit here like, oh, it's just something great. Because honestly, I thought after he left out my office, I'm like, I know I'm gonna see him coming down the steps. If I just nudge him a little bit, because he a little older than me, he probably could just boom, 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 boom. So it's not like, in a moment you don't have those thoughts.
Right.
Or I'm not sitting there like, oh, but you're gonna need something else from my office. And when you need it, so I had all the thoughts rolling through my head. So I realized like it's a process. Like, you constantly have to remind yourself.
Mm.
I saw this other clip today about a guy. I don't know, there was like some kind of podcast or something. I think he was like in sports, and the guy was like, "So, what if I gave you $10 million? Would you be happy?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Okay, well, what if I gave you $10 million and you didn't wake up tomorrow, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow?" And he was like, "Would you take it?" He was like, "Absolutely not." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Absolutely not." He was like, "Me waking up, being who I am, is enough. So long as I can wake up, waking up is enough." And I think about that sometimes. Like we have to get to that space where I woke up today.
Mm.
I'm me. That's enough.
That's
Like
enough.
I'm enough the way I am. If you never apologize, even if you never forgive me, like if I've
Mm.
apologized to you and you don't forgive me, that's fine. As long as I wake up, I'm enough. I'm complete and I'm whole, just the way I am.
Right.
Now, of course, there's always room for improvement. So I'm not telling people just be who you are till you die. I'm just saying, learning how to be okay with who you are at this season of your life.
Yeah. So listening to what Jamal Bryant said about apologies don't come with an excuse, or apologies shouldn't come with an excuse.
Hmm.
I think sometimes apologies do need to come with a conversation though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I do
What do
think
you mean?
apologies,
Like,
sometimes we do need to hear each other's side. We do need to
okay,
hear
right,
each other's perspective.
right,
Um, because while my apology may not have an excuse, or maybe there's no excuse for how I acted or how I behaved, maybe there's some understanding in how I acted and
right,
behaved, and we can kind of better understand each other and
right,
what gets each other to the place where we're not doing things that could harm or hurt one another. So sometimes maybe there does need to be a conversation. Maybe I offended you, and maybe I did have something going on that caused me to offend you, and you didn't realize that, and you did something to trigger me, and whatever the case may be. But I do think sometimes apologies need a discussion. So I want to talk about what happened. I do want to apologize for how I acted, but I would like to share more. I think
right.
that's important.
Well, I definitely agree. Yeah, an excuse is different than, like you said, just explaining.
Hmm.
I think sometimes you're right, the explanation is important because
Yeah,
you just saying sorry. Okay, you're sorry, but like, what happened?
yeah,
I thought this was going on between us. I thought,
yeah,
we were in this space, and then you just did a 360. So I think an explanation sometimes is important, but again, I think that's also tied to the relationship. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because and how much I value it. Because honestly, for me, if it's taking you too long to come and apologize or whatever, for me, I've accepted it and I've moved on from it. So
hmm,
like your explanation, unfortunately, probably would fall on deaf ears. It's kind of like I hear it, okay, but like I've
right,
kind of rolled past this scenario already. But
right.
I think it is important. Communication is always important, and sometimes just apologizing for what you've done
Right.
without really being clear on how you went from A to Z, can make all the difference. Can make
Yeah.
all the difference. Any last words, Trina?
Just real quickly, just on that point, when you're given an explanation, you have to be careful not to blame the person. Um, like you'll blame the victim and be like, well, if you ain't do that to me, then I wouldn't have reacted that way. Or
Right.
if you didn't provoke me, wait a minute,
Right.
take accountability for how
Absolutely.
how you act. Just take accountability, and don't blame the other person. It's one thing to have a like you said, have a discussion about everything that happened, and an explanation is needed, but we have to be careful not to blame the other person and take accountability for your role in everything that happened.
Yeah.
Right. Shanetta.
Um, nope, no more words. I think, yeah, like I agree with everything Trina just said, and I definitely think that you have to kind of look at yourself, um, and not necessarily have these high expectations from other people, but look at what you need to do to make sure you're not the one. I try to tell my kids now that they're older, make sure it's not you. If you have a difficult situation with someone in your life, you have a difficult situation with a friend, just make sure it's not you, and if it is you, correct what you've done. But you need to be that responsible person and be accountable in any situation.
All right. Even said great show. Thanks, Lisa. So I agree with the both of you. Definitely, Shanetta, it is important to make sure it's not you. Um, just be careful on the, even if it is you,
Mhm.
even if it is you, even if you are wrong, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. Like it happens to all of us. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. Sometimes you're going to misspeak. Sometimes you're going to do something that, may have been perceived wrong or it was actually wrong and you are regretful. You wish you could take it back. We can't take back actions. Unfortunately, we can't take back words after they have been spoken, but it is okay to misstep. It's okay to mess up. It's okay um, to not be okay. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to even be mean sometimes. Nope, that should not be your goal. I'm gonna be mean every Wednesday. But if you was mean on Thursday, guess what? You have the opportunity on tomorrow, God willing, to wake up and be different. Um, that is the thing. If you, no matter how bad today, right now, may be, tomorrow presents a whole new day of opportunities. And you never know what tomorrow will bring. So, regardless of what happens, don't wait for an apology. But if you get one, that's just the bow on the package. Be okay with it, either way. So the goal, the moral of the story is figure out how to be okay. That's what we want. That is the hope that you guys can figure out how to be okay. And that means something different for each and every one of us. But from the Sisters of Legacy, it is okay and we love you guys. So until next Thursday, be safe.